Hey everybody, we're going to be making pepper jack today. I've got 2 gallons of whole milk here. I'm heating it up to 90 degrees. And while this is heating, I'm actually going to be also heating up some pepper flakes that I have measured out. So in this pan, I have 1 tablespoon of jalapeno flakes and 1 tablespoon of dried pepper flakes. Red pepper flakes. I'm going to be heating them up in 1 cup of water for about 10 to 15 minutes. As soon as that is done, I will come back. Alright, it's now at 90 degrees. So we are going to add the calcium chloride. And I'm only adding the calcium chloride because I'm using whole pasteurized milk. The pasteurization process gets rid of stuff, so I have to add it back to it. So I'm going to add this to it while I'm stirring. Get it well incorporated in there. And now I'm going to add the mesophilic culture. And I'm going to be using 1 package of it. These things are so hard to open. Sprinkle the entire contents of the package onto it. And then you gotta let it sit for a couple minutes. I'm gonna start the timer for 2 minutes because it has to rehydrate because it's freeze dried. And as soon as the 2 minutes is up, I'll be back. Alright, 2 minutes are up, so now I'm going to stir it in. I'll stir it for probably a minute, give or take. You gotta make sure it's well incorporated in there. And I'm sorry about the TV noise in the background. My wife is watching TV. Can't necessarily tell her to turn it off or put it on mute. Alright, that's been about a minute, give or take. So now I have to let this thing sit for about 45 minutes to an hour so it can ripen. I will set the timer for, I'm going to say 50 minutes. And then as soon as that is done, I will be back. In a side note, I just thought I'd give you this bit of information. We still got about 44 minutes to go, so it can ripen up. But while you're waiting, if you take a towel and wrap around this pot, then it won't lose as much heat. It'll stay warm. Like right now it's at 95 degrees, which it's a little over temperature, but that's not going to hurt nothing. And it will stay at right around 91. I figure after the hour is up, it's going to be down to like 91. And that's perfect. Alright. As soon as it's done, I'll be back. Alright. We are back. It has been setting for about 50 minutes, so it has ripened. Now we are going to add the rennet into it. Now I have a 1/4 teaspoon of rennet in this, but I also have 1 tablespoon of salt. That's what my recipe calls for. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I'm going to go by the recipe. So we're going to add this. We're going to stir it pretty good. Alright, that should be enough. Now we're going to let it set. Let her set for about an hour and let it cure up. After that, I will be back. Alright, an hour is up. Now we'll take this off. And now we have to check for a clean break. So that's what we are going to do here. Oh yeah. Okay, now we need to get the cheese heart. We'll go into it. We're going to cut it. Okay. And then gently bring it back up. Okay. Now I have to rinse it off real quick, because if not, the curds dry on it. It makes it almost impossible to wash. Okay, now we have to cut it vertically. We cut it horizontally with the cheese harp. Now we have to cut it vertically. And we have to cut it pretty small. The instructions say 1 centimeter cubes, which is less than 1/4 inch. So we're going to cut it pretty small going this way. Okay, and then as soon as I'm done cutting them all, we will be back. Alright, we're done cutting them. Now we got to let them sit here and rest and heal up. And I'm going to let them rest for 10 minutes. I'll be back. Okay. It's been 10 minutes. The curd has all healed up. They didn't get injured too bad, so they're feeling a lot better now. So now we'll stir them. Now we have to heat the curds up to 100 degrees over 30 minutes, which is about 2 degrees every 5 minutes. Let's turn the stove on, put it on low. Right now it's at 90 degrees. So we're going to stir this real slowly to begin with. And the curds look pretty good. Nice uniform shape. But you stir them slowly, because if not, you could damage them. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. The batteries died in the camera, so I had to change them. Alright, so now we're going to heat this up to 100 degrees. I'm going to turn the burner on here and low. We have to stir these nice and slow. Otherwise we're going to damage them, and we don't want to do that. So, as soon as we get this up to 100 degrees, we got to hold it at 100 degrees for another 30 minutes. So that's going to be an hour total. So as soon as we are done, after that hour, we will be back. Alright, we're back. Okay. It's reached 100 degrees. I've already let it sit for like 5 minutes as the recipe calls for. Now we have to drain the whey out up to the level of the curds. And I'm actually going to put it in a separate pot right here because I'm going to save the whey because I'm going to use it as my mesophilic starter culture in my next couple batches. You gotta be gentle when you do this, because if not, you can stir up the curds. And you don't want to do that because you want to get it as close to the level of the curds as possible. And it's getting pretty close right now. And one more. Okay, now it's at the level of the curds. Okay. So now all the recipe calls for, I have to actually let it set in these curds and settle for 30 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. Then I'll be back. Alright. It is set for 30 minutes. So now we have to drain the rest of the whey off. And we're actually going to do that in a colander lined with a cheesecloth. And we're going to bring the pot over here. And I'm actually going to put on a glove because I'm going to have to scrape it out of the pan. Left over here, so we gotta scrape it out of the pan. Alright. We're gonna let that sit for a few minutes and continue to drain. And then after we get done with that, then I've got to set up the press to get ready for pressing. And once I'm done with that, then I'll bring you all back for that. Alright everybody, we're almost done. Okay, we got these out of we drained all the whey off of it. Now we're going to have to add a tablespoon of salt. And then we add the peppers. Because I'm making pepper jack here. But I gotta get it all broke up first. Alright. Okay. So we need, well, that's 1 teaspoon. Where is my tablespoon measuring spoon? Alright. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I found a half a tablespoon one, so I just have to put 2 of them in there. And mix her in. That was a half a tablespoon. Now I'm going to put another half a tablespoon in it. Okay. Mix that in. Okay, now that all that's done, now we're going to put in our peppers here that we boiled earlier in a half a cup of water. And we just mix her in. Now make sure she's mixed up pretty good too. She's looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm gonna take you all over to the press. I gotta move the camera and everything like that. So when I get it all done, I'll be back. All right, everybody, we got all that taken care of. Sorry for the clutter, but I'm gonna get it all put in here, and we'll get her all set up. Got to get it all packed down in here, because if you don't, it's going to overflow, and I don't have one of them meshes to put around it like I've seen other people do in their videos. And on a side note, my sister has told me that I should explain why my water jugs have numbers on them. I will, as soon as I get all this done, I will explain why all my water jugs have numbers on them. It might say like 30 pounds, 20 pounds. That is not what they actually weigh. Alright, take one side, cover it up. Okay. Now, we got to start with 11 pounds for 20 minutes. And that's this one. It says 11 pounds on it. But that is not what this water weighs. That is what force is going to be putting on there with this amount of water that's in it. This whole setup is an old Dutch press, but it operates on a fulcrum. You know, if you guys know what a fulcrum is, it was proven by Archimedes, called geometric. Alright everybody, I'm back. Okay, now that I got everything all straightened up, now I can explain to you why these bottles have different numbers on them. That is not how much the bottle weighs. Alright, that is how much weight is being forced down onto the cheese mold. This whole cheese press setup was it's an old Dutch design. I actually built it from plans that I found on the internet. But this operates on a lever fulcrum system. And I believe it was Archimedes who proved it. It's called geometric reasoning. And he says that in the fulcrum and the lever, that if the distance is greater from point A to the fulcrum than it is from the distance of point B to the fulcrum, the lever automatically applies amplified force of the amount of weight that you have on the end of the lever. Now that might not be the exact words of it, but that is the ballpark of how a fulcrum works. And so this bottle here that I have on there, it says 11 pounds on it. That's how much force is being pushed on this right now, 11 pounds. And this one says 18, 33, and 22. That's how much force is being put on that if I put each one of these bottles on there. Now I could combine bottles and add the weight, and that's how much force is going to be on it. Now I have milk jugs over here that one says 55 pounds and another one says 75 pounds. So that's a lot of weight on a cheese mold. So that's that. The next time I turn this, I will be back and I'll show you that, and we're going to increase the weight to 22 pounds, which is going to be this milk jug. Alright, thank you for watching. Alright everybody, it's been 20 minutes, so now we're going to flip it over. We're going to take it out, flip it over, and put it back in. And this time we're going to increase the weight to 22 pounds for 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to raise the arm. I'm going to lock it up. Remove the 11 pound weight that I had on it. All that liquid that's on top of it has to be drained off. It's looking good. Alright, raise it up. Now at this stage it's still quite fragile, so you have to be careful, especially taking this cheesecloth off. You don't want the cheesecloth to stick to it and you rip the cheese. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Gently trying to get this cloth spread back out so I can get this cheese centered back into it. Looks about right. Yep. It looks about right. And then we stick her back in. Okay. Now this time we want to really make sure that we get this cheesecloth tight on the bottom. Otherwise we'll get folds mold to do the cheese, and you don't want to do that, because it'll just make for an ugly looking cheese wheel. Okay. And then you take 1/2 of your cheesecloth, whatever one's the biggest, probably that one there, and just fold it over. And then put your follower back in. Okay. And set that back down on there. Okay. Now this time, we're going to go with 22 pounds on it. Okay, then unlock it. Bring it down with a little bit of weight on it. And then this one says 22 pounds. So we're going to put 22 pounds on it. There we go. It now has 22 pounds on it. Well, not centered. You want to make sure you kind of get it centered. Otherwise you get a lopsided cheese. Okay. Now I'm going to set the timer for another 20 minutes. After that, I'll be back. Alright, we're back. It's been another 20 minutes. So we're going to take off the 22 pounder. Raise the arm and lock it up. Dump off the excess whey. Alright. Gently pull it out. Gently. Flip it over here. Put it back in. And like I said before, we make sure the cheesecloth is tight all the way around it, because we don't want no wrinkles in it. And it's looking pretty good. Look at that. I mean, nice and uniformed peppers all the way through it. Okay. Put it back in the press. And this time, we're going to press it for 12 hours. So we're going to lower the arm, unlock it. And I'm thinking we need to adjust this, because if it starts settling down, let's see here. Alright. Right there. Huh. That's the same place it was at before. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to go with 33 pound weight. And that's going to be there for 12 hours. Alright. I will get back with you tomorrow morning. Alright. Well, it's been 12 hours. So now we're going to take it out. And then we actually have to wash the outside of it with a brine, a salty brine, and then let it sit and dry for up to a week. I don't think it's going to take that long. but it could. Alright, I'm going to lock her up. Okay. Put this in here. Okay. Take this glove off. And put another one on because I had to get a hair out of my mouth, so. Alright. Make sure there ain't no way in the top. Oh, there's a little bit of way in the top of it here. Alright. Ooh. Pretty good vacuum going on there. Looks alright. Ooh, smells phenomenal. Alright. Now once again, he said you gotta be gentle when you pull this off, because otherwise you can rip the cheese.
Maybe you should go.
Yeah, look at that. That looks excellent. Alright. I'm going to wash it with this salty brine here.
Having someone around this general area.
Okay. Now we're going to let it set for up to a week till it dries. And then I'm going to vacuum seal it, and into the cheese cave it goes.